And I'll put...
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Tuesday, the 22nd of March. I'm Derek Clark. I'm joined this morning by Joshua Barrie, live from Rangers Review HQ. How are we doing, Joshua?
It's a bit more plush, Derek, isn't it? I was just giving a little tour of the meeting room before, so no, all good. Looking forward to catching up as ever.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Before we look at all the Rangers news, folks, if you're watching us for the first time on YouTube, remember, if you've not hit that subscribe button, just if you hit it, you'll never miss a video when we go live, and thousands of you are now subscribing, so thanks very much for that. And if you haven't taken advantage of the site as well, just £2.99 a month. It really is outstanding value. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe, and the description is also in the comments box there as well. So just if you hit that link, you can find the details of how to subscribe to support top quality journalism covering the club you love. Okay, let's talk all things Rangers, Joshua. We'll start off with the news last night. Johnny McFarlane actually tweeted out that the information that Rangers have expected to give 700 tickets for Celtic for the Old Firm game at Ibrox on April the 3rd. It's believed that the Ibrox club have been given no indication that these tickets will be returned. But it looks like there is an allocation coming back to the fixture, Joshua. What's your feelings towards this? I think it's good to have opposition supporters back in the grounds for these games.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to gauge, I guess, what the general opinion is about this, because I think people also at points do like the kind of cauldron of just having one set of supporters. Certainly, as you'll remember, the game back in now August, the 1-0 win over Celtic, Derek, I think it was a fantastic atmosphere, but it's a different atmosphere, isn't it, with away support? And you've seen that in Europe this season as well. I remember the Lyon game, the 2-0 defeat, which feels like a worlds away now. And they brought about 100 fans, and it didn't feel like the type of occasion it was. And you compare that to like the Dortmund game, for example, and it just adds something else to the fixture. So I think similar, as to what Stuart Robertson said about it, going back maybe 2 months. I think he was speaking in December about it. And personally, I think you want a bit of both from that section of fans as well, and to just make the occasion what it is. So I know people have different opinions about it, about what size the allocation should be. And as I say, it's probably quite hard to gauge what the general opinion is about that. But I think in terms of a spectacle, and also remembering that the Old Firm is a spectacle on TV that a lot of people watch, is probably the right decision.
Yeah, that news, of course, folks, you can check out on the Rangers Review site. There've been no away fans at all in the previous two Derby games this season. That was put down to COVID restriction-related issues. Prior to that, going back to 2018, Rangers, of course, reduced Celtic's huge allocation behind the goal, which was around 7,000 tickets to around 900 in the corner of Ibrox, which is the same amount every other team in the league are provided. Then Celtic then, of course, reduced Rangers' allocation to the same amount at Parkhead. Of course, CEO Stuart Robertson did reveal earlier this year that there had been progress in talks about getting away supporters back at the Derby fixtures. However, we do stress that the move to allow 700 back in is yet to be officially confirmed by Rangers. But watch this space, folks. Another issue I wanted to talk about, Joshua, we touched on it yesterday, of course, was the protests on Sunday. I've typed up a piece on the website this morning with how the protests... You understand the strength of feeling amongst the fans, but when it affects the team on the pitch, a la the second half at Dens Park, and you've got Mark McGee coming out saying that it benefited his team. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst said on a number of occasions it was disruptive. Really, it felt that the point was already made at the start of the game at Dens Park. You were there, of course, for us. The second half, I mean, if Rangers never got a result at Dens Park on Sunday, then I mean, that could have been made a bigger issue than it was. But I don't think that second half protest was required.
No, and obviously there's a deeper issue that fans need to feel they're being heard by the boards, and if they don't, then as we discussed yesterday, that they will protest in ways that are disruptive because, you know, I guess a lot of fans will feel disrespected given the lack of dialogue around the issue that we all know it's about. I think it's a good point in terms of breaking it up, Derek, and it's the same as in, if a player goes down for injury. I don't know if you read recently I think it was on The Athletic, the piece about Southampton and how they would deliberately, a player was deliberately getting injured or going down injured within 70 to 80 minutes, I think, every single game. So, every game Ralph Hasenhüttl would say to one of his players, go down, get 5 minutes, 4 minutes of treatment from the physio. It allows Southampton players to come over. I think they have a wee energy gel, a wee dialogue with the manager. And if there's a tactical thing or whatever, it just gives that break. And that kind of shows, I think, how important it is. We often speak in games about you just need someone to show experience when a team's on the cosh, whether that be by holding the ball for a minute, playing the ball up higher to get your team up the pitch, any number of things. And I think when you're trying to put pressure on a team a la Dundee, especially when you're 1-0 down, because it wasn't obviously until Kemar Roofe came off the bench, Derek, that Rangers found an equaliser. It does just give Dundee perhaps that time to adapt from the side. And as we've spoken about a lot under Van Bronckhorst, I think one of the main advantages is how he changes stuff from the side. And I don't think as on-watchers of football, we probably appreciate how big a deal that is. I was listening to Jurgen Klopp speaking at the weekend about playing Brighton and how difficult it is, given they always change system, given they have so much variation. And I think a break in play allows the manager to maybe go, right, okay, James Tavernier's moved inside, we're going to move our midfield to accommodate that. Or, Bassey's tucked inside and formed more of a back three, as was the case in the second half of the weekend. So here's how we're going to counter that. So Rangers did get away with it, but I completely agree that it did disrupt the flow of the game. But I think, as we've discussed on here, Derek, the wider issue is that relationship needs to be mended in a way, and the supporters need to feel listened to. And ultimately, for the large majority, if not all of the support, they feel that this friendly needs to be cancelled for that to kind of be made better, if you will. So, but definitely got away with it, and I thought you were right in your piece that this can't hang over the club and the support for the remaining 7 games, because it's 7 cup finals, and in games you need every single advantage to go for you. I think of this magnitude, and as you say, on Sunday that probably wasn't the case.
Yeah. Before we take some questions come in from the comments, folks. Thanks for that, and keep firing them in, and we'll answer them. Joshua, you done the data match report yesterday from the game at Dundee. Was there any startling findings that popped out to you when you were doing your investigation?
We were actually laughing yesterday at the language that Jim White, who's a great broadcaster, was using when he was talking about the information he was getting, and he was calling it the intelligence he was getting, which I thought was very grandeur for sports journalism. But nonetheless, I think what stands out probably is Dundee had one shot on target, which was the header, which I think created 0.55 of their 0.56 expected goals. But that's to be expected, if you pardon the pun, when they're fighting for their lives. And they're at the bottom of the table. I'll give you one guess, Derek, on what Dundee's, and again, this isn't a criticism, this is, I think, just a note to show what type of game it was. But I'll give you one guess at what Dundee's pass completion percentage.
Was it above 50%?
I can't tell you.
51%?
48. So
wow.
The league average, I think, is like 73. So it just shows, it was a game where it was really backs against the wall, and Rangers had, I think, 70% possession, if not more. Rangers XG was at the end of the day about 3.4. So they deserved to win it, and I think there was a lot of parallels with the Dundee United draw last month, Derek, right, where you bring Sakala on, and you have a penalty waved away on that day. I guess at Dens Park, you were given a penalty for a shirt pull. Chance after chance after chance, and Rangers just couldn't score on that day. I think the difference probably was this time twofold. Number one, they brought Kemar Roofe on, and why they didn't bring Kemar Roofe on at Tannadice, I think, is still quite a costly decision. But I think it shows Van Bronckhorst is learning, because he made his substitutions earlier. Sakala didn't come on at 60 minutes, he came on at 45. And I think, I'm just remembering this now, the analysis piece we did after the Dundee United game was, look, the subs were too late. Sakala made an impact, changed the game because of the type of game it was, and he's so direct and so kind of unconventional. But sometimes that unconventionality, is, we've just discussed with how managers are adapting to Rangers in game, is what they need to do something completely different. Dundee weren't set up to face a winger on the right side. They were set up to face Aaron Ramsey or Scott Arfield coming inside the pitch. So when you go and do something completely different, it changes what they have to do. pushes them back, gives them a different challenge, and they have to adapt to that in game. So I think the big difference for me was they made the substitutions early, and that's a good sign. Because, as I say, after Dundee, Sakala changed the game with his direct style and slightly unorthodox style. But it came too late. I think he came on about 60, I want to say 60 minutes, 65 maybe. This time he came on at half-time. So I guess quite nice symmetry in the way that, in your next trip to Dundee, similar game, concede first, concede from a corner at the back post, across to the back post. This time you make your subs earlier and you change the game just in time.
Yeah, there's a cracking question came in from Ross, and it's a good one, Joshua, because you were at the game on Saturday at Ibrox. He says, morning both, I'm curious what you think about Alex Lowry. Should he be given an opportunity in that right-sided role in domestic games? I think he has shown enough for a good number of minutes. The clips I seen him of him on Saturday, Joshua, he was pinging the ball about fantastically well. Rangers, of course, running out convincing winners. What do you make of that question from Ross? Do you think we should give more minutes to Alex Lowry in the title running?
Did you see the pass, the half volley pass? Oh, I mean, honestly, when that happened, firstly, I'd say you don't see players in the first team make passes like that. I think Lowry is a really special talent. And you just, that type of pass where he doesn't even look over his shoulder before he gets it. And I asked McCallum about it in the press conference after. I asked him about how, because I thought Rangers B team, I'd encourage anyone who's not watched the game to go and watch the game, because I thought the way they pressed, and they pressed Celtic in particular, I thought that it was a brilliant approach and it worked really well. But Lowry, I asked McCallum about it and he said, look, these things just come naturally to him. What he has to do is develop areas of his game which perhaps don't come as naturally to him. But that kind of, the vision, there was another one, I think it was when Devine clipped the post just before half-time, could have made it 4-0. And he just reversed a little ball. And again, it's the passes that no one else sees. Should he be given more minutes? 100%. He's only 18. I think you look at the creativity he has. But what I always come back to is he tries stuff and he does it. And what you need, I think, as a Rangers player, but specifically a player trying to break into the Rangers first team, is basically the balls to go and do that and the ability to deliver on it. If you're a creative player, you're in the side to create. And how many times have we seen squad players come in over the last few seasons, Derek, and maybe not make the impact that you think they can, and you're kind of always waiting for them to kick into gear, always waiting to give them another chance, but ultimately time's short at a big club. And I think with Lowry in the brief moments he has had in the first team, he's done really well. So I completely agree with Ross, or to his question, I think 100% should be given more game time. And I think you can just see his ability in that B team game. He looked, from my point of view, Derek, he looked kind of head and shoulders again above everyone else on that pitch. The only player that I thought was close to him on a level was McCann, who I thought was really good as well, very industrious to match his talent on the ball as well. So good to see those two starting to break through. But Lowry for me is someone that needs to be in the first team picture. And you see that the assist against Dundee last weekend, he just comes off the bench, bursts into life and creates something. So impressed with him, and I think everyone would like to see more of him in the first team. And I think he's probably a player that Rangers could do with, because Joe Rigo continues to look pretty tired to me. It doesn't look at his best. I don't think that's through a lack of trying or anything. And to be fair, he did play a part in the second goal. And when was it? Sunday. But I do think the fresh legs of Lowry could help.
Yeah, question coming in from CGM55. Where can you watch a rerun of the B team game? You can watch it on Rangers TV. It's on there. I've just had a look, so you can have a watch of that. And I'd urge you all to do so. But yeah, a lot of questions come in as well. Lowry's contract negotiations ongoing yet. We're led to believe that is the case. But it'll be vital, I think, for Rangers to tie him down on a longer term deal. There's no doubt about it. Was there any other players that caught your eye on Saturday, Joshua? Scott Kearney says he likes the look of Weston, of course, having a great season. Charlie McCann, of course, came on at Dens Park in the Scottish Cup a week past on Sunday as well. Any others that Rangers fans should be getting excited about?
I think Weston, his movement was really good. There's lots of what I was interested in, and specifically was looking at how is the style feeding down. How is it changing? Because obviously the management has changed at first team level, and I think McCallum kind of took the good bits of Gerrard and Van Bronckhorst for that game in terms of the condensing the pitch and making it small without the ball, and then some of the attacking patterns that you see under Van Bronckhorst in terms of finding the striker quickly, playing forward quickly, and playing with natural width on one side. I thought but the Weston's goal is really well taken, and he kind of ran the Celtic defence really well all afternoon. McCann was very good. Robbie Fraser at left back, I thought had a good game. And he just signed a new contract. I think he speaks really well when you speak to him after games. Very mature, and I think you need that if you're trying to break into the first team. Weston had a real natural pace on him, and also came in to get the ball at feet a few times. So, yeah, as I say, I'd encourage people to go back and watch that. I'm just seeing a comment catch my eye that I think might be a good thing to finish up on, Derek, which is regular friend of the show, John Dooley, who's asking, do you think Aaron Ramsey will be more effective in the number 10 role as opposed to the right side of midfield? I think that's an interesting point, because I wrote after the first one at Dundee about why it worked with Ramsey coming off the right, and obviously Van Bronckhorst started him again there in the game this Sunday. And I think, to answer your question, John, in my opinion, when Rangers the system that has worked really well for Rangers in recent weeks didn't work against Dundee, I think, for two reasons. One, I think the pitch was really bobbly, so they didn't have the confidence to play it from the back, and you've seen that. I don't know how well it carried on TV, but you could certainly see that. And although you can say the pitch shouldn't be an issue, if the pitch is bobbling, I'm sorry, but it is. You can't pass as well as when you're playing on a nice surface. David McCallum was saying that about the B team just this weekend, the difference between playing on Ibrox compared to what they usually play on. So I think when Rangers are playing that way, building up the right, switching to Kent, playing through pressure, I think that really suits him, because he can kind of come in on track. The left back won't really follow him, because the opposition will normally want to stay compact, in my opinion, against Rangers, and not leave gaps for Tavernier to run into. You actually seen when Tavernier won the penalty, the reason he had that space to attack in the Scottish Cup game was because the Dundee left back kind of half came and went with Ramsey, and then realised, I'm leaving a gap in the defence, I better go back. And by that time it was kind of too late, and Rangers had built the attack. But I think then when you need to attack, as Rangers did in the second half, a bit more direct with Sakala on the right, you want Ramsey in the middle, because he can give you those third man runs into the box, which we've seen for his goal, but also the one he headed in to the keeper, which was a really good save. But for the goal, if you watch his movement, I know it's after a corner, but a lot of players in that Rangers team don't make that movement for me, and that's what Ramsey gives you. I think has probably quite a natural goal scorer from midfield. So I think it's dependent on the game, dependent on what Van Bronckhorst settles on, and something I'm writing about today is the importance of, I guess, system, but releasing the fullbacks. And I think whenever Rangers release their fullbacks, they look a lot better, and you've seen that in the second half, in particular at Dens Park, and I think that got the best out of Ramsey, because for a 10-minute period for me, Derek, I thought he looked absolutely brilliant, a lot sharper. And you also seen I think you've seen how much that goal meant to him after a frustrating couple of first months at Ibrox.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, folks, that'll do us there. Thanks to everyone for interacting with the show, as ever. It really is much appreciated. Remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, and so many of you are, so many comments coming in, thanks for that. If you've not hit that subscribe button, if you hit it, it means you'll never miss a video when we go live. And also, if you've not taken advantage of the website, just head over to rangersreview.co.uk. The link is in the comments section as well. And you can subscribe for just £2.99 a month. It really is fantastic value to support top quality journalism covering the club you love. Okay, we'll be back again tomorrow, but until then, enjoy the